Yeah. None of this, your boy. D47 all day for real AMP and popping off as much rugby league information as possible. Right now, another special edition. We will get back to the first games ever series soon enough. But another special edition. The Newcastle Rebels 1909 season scores in full. And so you don't miss any comparative rugby league information watching this video in its entirety through to the end as per always. So, we did, recently, we did the Newcastle Rebels first ever game. So that was 1908 round 1 when they lost to GLEBE 8-5 at Wentworth Park. And we also chucked in all the scores in their first ever season 1908. So I thought, why not do 1909 as well? Because it was the only other year that they played, and it was only 11 more games that they ended up playing. So why not chuck that in as well? And just so we don't forget, just to remind everyone, this is not the Newcastle Knights, this is the Newcastle Rebels. Newcastle Rebels, yes, they did use the same ground that Knights use these days, Newcastle International Sports Centre, but Newcastle Rebels had a red and white striped horizontal jersey, and they participated the first 2 years of the competition only, 1909 and 1909. So, we also mentioned in 1908 how there were 9 teams in the competition, and Newcastle Rebels had very frustratingly finished in 5th place. The finals was top 4, but they finished 5th place and missed the finals. They beat all the teams below them, but they couldn't beat one of the teams above them. Well, in 1909, they were a little bit better, and they made the finals. But it was a very short-lived and very pitiful finals appearance, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's why we need to go through scores one at a time until we get to that last game ever played in the 1909 final series. So, not Newcastle Knights, Newcastle Rebels 1909 scores right now. So, in round 1, they started with a convincing win, 14 points to 7 over North Sydney at the Agricultural Showground. And just to refresh our memory, in the first year 1908 and second 1909, the venues were the Agricultural Showground, First Row Oval, and Wentworth Park. And a fourth venue, which we'll get to. We'll get to very, very soon. So in round 2, so after beating North at Agricultural 14 points to 7 in round 1, 1909, Newcastle Rebels in round 2, a disappointing loss to South 28 points to 9, also at the Agricultural Showground. In round 3, a 9-5 loss to BALMAIN at the First Grove Oval. So that was a narrow one, disappointing as well, I suppose. In round 4, a 13-5 loss to NEWTOWN at the Agricultural Showground. And then in round 5, an 18-16 loss to Eastern Suburbs. So, 4 straight losses, but at least though, the game against East in 1909 round 5, even though Newcastle Rebels lost to East 18-16, they didn't lose 18-16, but it was still a joyous occasion because this was the very first game ever in the history of Australian Rugby League played outside of Sydney. So finally, Newcastle Rebels, they didn't get to play one game in Newcastle in 1908. In round 5, they finally got to play a game at the Newcastle International Sports Centre. And even though they lost to East 18-16, it was still a joyous occasion. That'll always hold the honour of the team hosting, I should say, the very first game outside of Sydney. They will always hold that honour. So that's quite outstanding, I think. And then in round 6, round 6 things turned around for them, and they beat GLEBE 26 points to 8, 1909 round 6 at Wentworth Park. In round 7, this time they got to play another game in Newcastle. This time they celebrated in the best possible fashion, and they destroyed Western Suburbs 34-0. So the Newcastle Rebels' first ever home win, coming in 1909 round 7, destroying West 34-0. So that was definitely on the saver for them. In round 8, a very, very narrow 5-2 loss to BALMAIN at First Row Oval. Just the one try, remembering tries were 3 points at the time, 5 points to 2. And then in round 9, a big win, 28 points to 5 over West at the Agricultural Showground. Then, in round 10, this was a must-win game, last regular season game. This was a must-win game. This was the Newcastle Rebels' last, second and final season. Their last season ever. They had to win this to play the finals, and that was going to be their only ever finals appearance. And somehow they pulled off one of the biggest upsets of all time, and they beat South Sydney 5-0, which is absolutely outstanding. Because, like I've said many times before, South Sydney, of course, won the first 2 comps. South won the comp in 1908 and in 1909, the first 2 years. So they upset the eventual premier South Sydney 5-0, just one converted try, and that was the last game that they would ever play. That was in Newcastle as well, so the last game they would ever play in Newcastle. The crowd, 3,000 people, played on the 7th of April 1909. And this meant that they made the finals. It meant that they finished the regular season in third place. The finals were going to be the top 4 teams. And with the top 4 final series, first had to play third and second had to play fourth. 2 losers eliminated and 2 winners through to the final. But unfortunately, from Newcastle's perspective, even though they just beaten South had still done enough to be minor premiers, meaning Newcastle Rebels will then have to play South again in the sudden death semi-final, this time in Sydney at the Agriculture Showground. And this time, South destroyed them 20-0. So they beat South 5-0 just to scrape into the finals, but then they were destroyed by South 20-0. And that was the last game that they would ever play. Remembering, this is the Newcastle Rebels, not Newcastle Knights. Newcastle Knights didn't enter until 80 years later in 1988. So there you go, the Newcastle Rebels 1908 and 1909 seasons done and dusted. Oh, and before we forget, I nearly forgot, when they beat Newcastle Rebels 5-0 in round 10, it was E. McNeil who got the only try and Stan Carpenter who got the only goal for Newcastle Rebels. Yeah, don't leave that important information out. If you're still here all the way through to the end as per requested, thank you so much for not missing any Central Rugby League information, and thank you so much for that head-splitting, brain-crushing, pungent, purulent, all-day support, your boy all day, BL47, know what it is, toodaloo.